Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Or for those of you who are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And for all of you, make sure to hit that little bell down at the bottom by the subscribe button. That way you'll know when I upload a video. Otherwise, you won't get notified by YouTube. Also, if you would consider supporting my Patreon, I would love you forever. Or at least send you a thank you video. Links for that and all my social media are below. We haven't done one in a while, so I figured this week I would pick one of the things that nobody told me. Specifically, things that nobody told me about transition. Things that I really wish that I'd known before. And there are a lot of those things, but I thought I'd make up a list of some of them, and if you guys have any to contribute, please put it in the comments below. And one of the things we really worry about after we come out to ourselves is how we're going to come out to the rest of the world. And with good reason, because there's always a lot of anxiety there and the danger of rejection. But I know for me, after I'd come out for a while, and I mean like over and over to different people, I came to realize that coming out can be hilarious. Now, what I mean by hilarious? People will tell you the most outrageous things after you come out to them. It's like you've told them something that's so personal and so private that they feel the need to somehow balance that out. Coming out to people will tell you just as much about them as you're telling them about you. I remember one of my ex-wife's relatives admitted to us that she'd had an affair. And then there were those wives who were really worried and wanted to know what the signs were that I was transgender, which made me really wonder about what was going on in their bedrooms. I'm gonna assume a little bit of gender nonconformity. Now, another thing I'd wish I'd really known about coming out is that not everybody can be taken at face value. I don't know how many trans women have come to me to tell me, I just came out and everybody loves me and everybody still accepts me. And it always breaks my heart a little bit because I want to say, calm down, slow your roll. Because what's told to you in the beginning isn't necessarily what ends up happening in the end. People like to keep a good image of themselves. They like to think of themselves as open-minded. So unless they have some sort of strong reason not to, their knee-jerk reaction is usually to say, it's okay, we still love you, we still accept you. I was told that by nearly everybody. I remember thinking to myself, wow, I'm on a roll, I'm a really lucky person. But it turns out when things got real, when my transition started becoming something medical, those people didn't always stick around. And it won't happen necessarily the way you think it will. They're not gonna yell, they're not gonna scream, they're not gonna tell you, abomination, get out of my sight. It's not gonna be that dramatic. They'll just stop talking to you. But you know, something wonderful can happen along the way too. They're gonna be those people you're gonna think there is no way that person's gonna accept me, but I'm gonna come out to them anyway and see what happens. Well, it turns out that sometimes those are your strongest supporters, so never assume anything. Okay, so you've come out to yourself and you've come out to other people. And maybe you're going to therapy. So very often the next step is your medical transition. And for male to female transgender people like myself, that usually means estrogen. And estrogen is gonna trigger a second puberty in your body, a female one. And here's one of those things that a lot of people don't know. Growing breasts is actually very painful. I mean, like really, really painful. That's how in the early days I knew that the hormones were really working. It was just like a sharp, I can't even remember how to describe it. Pain like right there in your chest, and that just really gets to you. And in a lot of ways that pain is welcome because it means that something wonderful is happening. So embrace it because it's something that only happens twice in your life. Okay, so on to the next thing, which is passing. And passing is this internal lingo that we have in a transgender world, which means that we're seen as a cisgender male or female. And it turns out that a lot of that is about attitude. If you look sort of ashamed and that you don't want to be seen and you're standing in a corner, people are going to notice you and they're going to pick apart the way you look. So even if you look visibly transgender, stand up straight, look people in the eye, be proud. There's nothing to be ashamed of to be transgender. People will respect that. I've also noticed that people tend to reflect back at you what you give them. So if you give them shame, they're going to say, well, there's something to be ashamed of. But if you give them happiness and confidence, that's what they're going to reflect back at you. And I know for a fact that has saved me from so many awkward situations. Another thing I found out is that women's clothing sizes are just a 12 in this brand can be a 14 in that brand, a 16 over here can be a 12 over here. It makes no sense. There is no rhyme or reason. What's gonna happen is you're gonna be attracted to certain brands and you're gonna get to know what your sizes are in those brands. But until a lot of experimentation, you're gonna buy a lot of things that don't fit. So please, please, try them on in the changing room because you can't just take them home and assume. And while you're out there trying on all those clothes, feel free to experiment with style. You really don't know who you are after you transition. You're learning about yourself. And you know what? Wear those things you've always wanted to wear. Wear that mini skirt even if it's not age appropriate. It's your life. Do what you want. And yeah, sometimes that's going to lead to some style disasters. But you know, that's how you learn. You learn from your failures. And if you're lucky enough, you may have some cisgender friends to help guide you along. And listen to them. They're a tremendous resource for you. However, that being said, don't listen to them too closely. Because yes, they know what it's like to be a cisgender woman, but they have no idea what it's like to be a transgender woman. and they may guide you away from experiences that you really want to have. Listen to your heart. Now, one of my biggest fears as I transitioned was surgery. And there's all kinds of surgeries. There's facial feminization surgery, there's breast augmentation, all that kind of stuff. I didn't have most of those things, but I did have the all-important bottom surgery. And besides the worry that I would never orgasm again, the second worry I had about surgery was that it was going to be very painful. Turns out it's not actually all that painful. I know you're going to think I'm crazy that, they're messing with a very sensitive part of your body. Well, there's also a lot of soft tissue. There's not a lot of bone and other things there, which means you're going to recover pretty quickly too. And the act of dilating, which is putting in those medical stents up into your new hoo-ha, I think a lot of us imagine that that will also be extremely painful. It actually isn't anything more than just kind of uncomfortable. You have to put it up in there, you gotta hold it, and after a while it just frankly becomes a big pain in the ass, or a pain in the vagina. Now, there is one aspect to this that actually is kind of painful, and it lasts for about a year. And I know that sounds pretty horrific, but after a while you grow to welcome it because it means you're making progress. You're healing. And that is that down there, down in your new vagina, down in that whole vulva area actually, you're gonna feel all these little shocks. And from what I understand, that is your nerves reconnecting because, they've done a lot of cutting down there and they've cut through a lot of nerves. So in the beginning, all you're gonna feel down there is very numb, but that little spark just feels like somebody took a rubber band, pulled it about 10 feet and then let it go right inside your vagina. But after a while they go away and you have a fully sensate vagina and vulva and all the rest of the stuff. And I think that's pretty amazing. And finally, to leave things on a positive note, especially in today's atmosphere of Me Too, where it can be very scary to be a woman among men, it is actually fantastic to be a woman among women, to be seen as one of them and to feel that love of sisterhood and companionship. Or if you're a lesbian, to be accepted as another lover. And yeah, to get from here to there has a lot of pain and hardship, so you're gonna lose some friends, as I was saying. But have faith that for all the friends you lose, you're gonna replace them with better ones who accept you and love you, and those friends can become as close as family. So on that note, like, share, and subscribe, and see you around the interwebs.